Hey guys, how's it going? It's Derek, and welcome to my very first live episode of my YouTube channel. And today is the 16th of December 2023. And the thing about it, it's only 9 days before Christmas here in Sydney. It's going to be a little bit different if you're friends overseas in the US and stuff like that. You may have extra few hours, but there's not a lot of time till Christmas. And I thought I'd come on here today and just have a chat to you guys about the perfect tech gift for Christmas 2023. Now, the answer to this question may not be necessarily the one that you're expecting. And I just want to take a few minutes here on this live just to explain to you my thoughts on this and why the answer is not exactly what you expected. So basically, if you happen to be one of those people who've decided that this year that you're going to spoil somebody rotten, whether it's a family member, a close friend, with something tech, then this is the video for you because I've got some tips, I've got some hints, I've got some advice on why you should actually be really careful before you buy tech for someone who you don't know a lot about. So basically, tech kind of is like clothes and jewelry. It's a very personal thing. And for example, it's not so much the latest thing that's potentially the number one most important factor when you're gifting tech, because being an individual thing, having individual preferences, as we all know, buying tech is confusing in the first place. And the other thing that's really important to remember is that tech is super, super expensive. So you're not talking about buying somebody a $20 t shirt that if they don't like it, they just throw it in the bin. You're talking about things that potentially cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And if somebody is so lucky to receive that gift, number one, and if you're so generous that you've decided that you want to give this sort of gift to somebody who you really care about, there is still no particularly good reason why you want to spend all this money, but have no, actually, I'll phrase it differently, spend all this money and actually get something that's not suitable for the end user, i.e., your friend or your family member. And the reason for this is, as I mentioned, it is a very individual thing. And what may be the latest tech, what may be the thing that you're really excited about, something that you would want, may not be necessarily something that they want, even though that the piece of tech is actually a really awesome piece of tech. Here's a great example. You decided that you wanted to buy somebody, say, a new phone for Christmas, and you feel like that iPhone 15 Pro Max, 512 gigs, latest tech, the best thing, the best cameras, the fastest processors, great storage. This would be the ideal phone that you want. But the other person, they don't have any Mac stuff. They're not into iOS. In fact, they're a big fan of Android. Maybe you didn't knew about that, maybe you didn't. But giving somebody who is an Android Windows type person and you're going to give them an Apple iOS product, it may not be suitable. Even though it's a great piece of tech, it's not going to be for them. Similarly, if you know that this person may be a gamer and you think, oh, I'm going to buy them the latest, I'm going to buy them the Slimline PS5, I'm going to buy them a few games. What happens if they're an Xbox player? What happens if they already have a Nintendo Switch and that's all they want to play? Or if they're in a situation where they can't sit in front of a TV with a console continuously and they prefer portable gaming, you're buying them a really expensive piece of tech, but it's not something they want. It's all got to do with compatibility. With every piece, with every section or category of tech, there seems to be at least two camps. So, for example, with computers and tablets, there's iOS, there's Android. With computers, there's Windows, there's Mac. With even just basic phones, there's Apple versus Samsung. With cameras, you've got all these brands. You've got Micro Four Thirds, you've got full frame, you've got all these little differences where people aren't going to necessarily be on your same team. Also, things like with gaming, as I said earlier, you've got PlayStation, you've got Xbox, you've got Nintendo, you've got just all these different systems. And for example, if I have a Nintendo Switch and I've got all the stuff for it, I've got loads of games, you're going to buy me a PS5, what am I going to do with it? None of my stuff is compatible. So compatibility is a big issue when it comes to getting tech. So my advice to you actually would be is, if let's go differently. If somebody actually asks you for a particular gift For example, if someone actually comes and said, "Mom, Dad, friend, if you're really that generous, I really would like an iPhone." Number one is I would get the specific kind of model that they want, because another thing is they may want an iPhone, but they may not want the iPhone 15 Pro Max. They may prefer a smaller phone. You get them the Pro Max, same thing. That's not what they want. So unless they're very specific and they've actually asked for that particular device or piece of tech, I would actually not get them tech as a gift. It's just one of those things. I truly believe that tech is so personal that it's a lot of money. You don't want to waste your money, and you don't just want to get a gift that nobody, you don't want to get a gift that the other person is not going to necessarily appreciate. So I don't think that it's an appropriate gift in most circumstances. Again, as I said, if somebody asks for a specific model, specific phone, specific device, and you're happy to get that, that's all good and well. But anything apart from that, you might think that you know them. You might think you know what they want, but it may not actually be what they want. So I would stay away from surprise tech gifts, especially those which cost so much money, because it's not worth it. Because there's a good possibility that the person that you're gifting it to isn't going to appreciate it as much as you hope that they're going to appreciate it. So, having said that, if you're so desperate, if you're so determined that you're going to gift some tech to somebody and you don't know them well enough and you don't know exactly what they want, here are the things that I would think about before I would shell out my hard-earned money, because there's a good chance that you're not going to get your good money's worth for it. One is you got to remember compatibility. You've got to make sure that the system that you're buying them is either something they already have that they can add to, or it's something that they're going to want to grow into. Every single system, every single piece of tech has different systems, as I mentioned. Brand is important. If you get a camera, are you going to get a Canon? Are you going to get a Nikon? Are you going to get a Sony? Are you going to get a Panasonic? People do have preferences like that. And there are people definitely out there who are only Canon fans. There are people out there only Nikon fans. There are people out there who's only Sony fans. If you get a Sony fan, a Canon camera, I don't think that that's going to be the greatest gift either. So I think that compatibility, brand, and specs. So how are you going to know what type of specs that the other person's going to want? The only way that you can be sure is to spend the maximum amount and buy the highest specifications for that particular device. Because if you buy them something which is lower in, in specs than what they would normally use, they're not going to fully enjoy that product anyway. And I've learned from experience that I know for a fact that if I personally buy a piece of tech which I kind of didn't want because it was just a little bit cheaper, but it had specifications, whether it's memory, whether it's speed, whether it's size or whatever. And I always regret it at the end. And if you buy them an under-spec machine, they're not particularly going to thank you for that either. So I know this all sounds very ungrateful, and it sounds like, people shouldn't complain because they're getting something so expensive. But I'm just trying to get across to you the point that it's really important that if you're going to spend that much money, you might as well do it in a way that people are actually going to enjoy it. And if people aren't going to enjoy it, there's really no point spending that amount of money. So compatibility, brand, specifications. I would just completely, if I was you, I would just stay away from giving tech as any sort of gift, because it's loaded with problems. And once you get it, yes, you can potentially take it back and get an exchange or a refund, but that's a pain. I wouldn't bother with that. I think it's much better if you really had to do it that way and you weren't sure, you ask that person. It's very simple. I know that it's great to get a surprise. Like, this is not a situation, this is not the type of present that I think it's a good idea to get a surprise from. And I just feel like if you're going to do that, if you want to be so generous and be so kind, you better just ask them exactly what they want and say, "Hey, Bob, hey, Sue, I really, really like you," or "Hey, I really appreciate you. And this year, I want to get you something really special for Christmas. And I'm thinking about getting you, say, a new laptop. Is there anything particularly that you would like? Because I just want to make sure that I want to buy something that's going to be useful for you so that you get the maximum enjoyment out of it. That's would be how I would approach a situation. But anyhow, that's what I would do. I just don't think that there's any other value in doing it any other way, but that's just my opinion. Look, I love tech, and as I said, I would kind of be really excited if somebody got me a piece of tech, but I just have to be reticent to the fact that there's a high chance of disappointment if you get somebody a piece of tech that is not what they asked for and not what they necessarily need. So this is why I think it's really important that I keep drumming into this, that it's such an expensive piece of tech that I feel like you should just give the option for the recipient to have some input into the gift that they're going to get. I see no reason, actually. I'm a believer that I'd rather, whether it's Christmas or birthday, I'd rather, if you're going to get somebody a gift, especially an expensive gift, most of the time I would rather actually tell them what I'm going to get, just so that they know and they can actually tell me if it's something that they wouldn't want, rather than spend a whole heap of money thinking they want it, they don't use it, they go, "What's a waste of money?" And you're resentful for the fact that they didn't seem to appreciate my gift, and it's not worth the trouble. And I just feel like I would have no issues knowing what my present is as long as it was something really cool. And this is the exact situation where I think this should be applicable. So that's it for the first live. Thank you for watching, and remember to like and subscribe to my channel. And let me know in the comments or in any, yeah, let me know. Just let me know if you want me to do any more of these. This is something I just did off the cuff. It is Saturday morning. Have nothing better to do, so I thought I'd just come on here and just have a chat to you guys. So tech, gifts, Christmas, it's a no for me. See you next time. Have a great day. Bye.